And yes, we are very excited to have Lisa, and I'm going to disclose her, Regopoulos. Say it again? Regopoulos. And Lisa studied at the Worcester Art Museum and Sharon Art Center in New Hampshire, and she currently teaches pastel workshops throughout the U.S. So that's very exciting. Recently, she's teaching Artist Network, Art Fest, in Mesa, Arizona, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
She's having a 4-day workshop for the Art Week of Hilton Head on January 27th to the 30th in 2025. So, and you can actually go on her, there's a link that you can actually go on and sign up if you're interested. She earned her Master's Circle status with the International Association of Pastel Societies in 2019 and was featured in the summer 2023 Pastel Journal. So let's welcome Lisa. Lisa, I was going to say that about halfway through, anytime that's convenient, we'll take a break so people get some goodies and stuff, and look at your pastel.
Oh yeah, sure. I brought some of my work is over there. I don't know if that's So tonight I'm working on U Art 400 grit sandpaper. It's mounted on the board, and I'm going to start with harder pastel underpainting that I'm going to dilute with alcohol, and then I'm going to go over certain parts of it with some pan pastel. So definitely ask me questions while I'm doing a demo. I don't mind talking and painting at all.
What's the difference in the pan pastel?
Pan pastel is just pigment with no binders.
No binders.
Yeah, that's why they pack it like that. You apply it with little sponges, like makeup sponges, and it's just like, it's not stick in a stick format, so it adheres to the paper faster. Like when I put it on, once it's on, it's pretty much on, unless I remove it with an eraser. Like you can use an eraser and remove the pan pastel. But some people think that it has less dust. I've worked with it for a while, and I definitely see when I put it on, dust falls in my tray. So, I mean, it might be thicker dust and not dust that kind of like moves into the hair if you blow on it. I'm just very careful with how I work with it, and they're doing a lot with the pastels nowadays that they're trying to remove most of the heavy metal that's in them that makes them dangerous. But like with any art medium, you don't want to be putting it in your mouth, so you don't want to be breathing in it. Like I wouldn't even want to breathe in like on a dusty day, like sand going around. Any fine particulate is going to irritate your body. So I did a quick sketch. This is just, can everyone see this okay? So a wave that I took a picture of when I was in Montego, Maine. You know, is that me that's making that sound that's going on?
No, it's the coffee maker.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I might drink something that's making that noise. Because sometimes you know how microphones can do that. So I usually start with, I always like to start with putting like darker pastels on first, even if I'm doing underpainting. And I usually try to use a very hard pastel. This is a little bit of a soft pastel that I'm using for the dark area, but it will still be okay because I'm applying it lightly. If you use a soft pastel, too heavy-handed when you're trying to do this, it will fill the toothpaste paper fast. But you are 400 grit, can handle it quite a bit. very seldom do you see me hold it and draw like that. I might do that if I'm trying to do a branch or something like that needs a harder edge. And I put a lot of the colors that I picked out before I came. And I just put them in cornmeal. That's how I clean them off. And it's easy to travel with them. If I have separate ones that don't have a case with foam that goes over it, it just helps to keep them cleaner and like facilitating up against one another. So, just trying to find a color that I want.
Do you treat the paper before you begin, if anything?
No. Unless well, it depends. Like, if it was a paper that didn't have any tooth and I wanted to add tooth, then I might add like a primer to it, or I might, if I wanted to add texture to it, I could add a little Thomas medium and like put a fine coat, but usually I buy the paper already. It's already the texture on it. So it's just another thing that I have to do that I don't. Unless I'm looking for a specific effect. And I wear gloves, but depending on the humidity level and stuff, sometimes you'll probably see them come off fast. They can just be bothersome to me. And I usually buy the small ones, but lately when I've been purchasing them, they don't I have really, really tiny fingers, so see how I'm getting a drag already? So they're gonna come off, I think. And I have gloves in a bottle that I use. It's like a barrier cream. And if you can't find gloves in a bottle, you can buy anything you use if you're gardening, just to put on your hands to keep like the soil from like staining your finger. And like you can put it right up under your fingernails, so you can clean your fingernails so you don't look like dirty all the time. Yeah. Yeah, so I definitely like to use something on it, and it just can be dry. So, and sometimes it doesn't work a lot. Perfect. Yeah. But usually if you rub it, pretty good. Yeah.
You seem to travel a lot. You live around here? I mean, just your...
Yeah, I live in Fitchburg, so I live in Central Mass.
Oh, okay.
I like to travel.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. I might be cut back a little bit because I just got a new puppy.
Oh.
But just while he's little. And that's why I look like this. Well, it was one day, and then I was like, that kid got me. It's a little terror. I got a collie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I had a question going on in the house for a couple of years.
Oh, yeah. So, when I'm applying this, I like to keep the area that's lit really beautifully on the straight of the waves. You'll see me try to stay away from that with the pastel, just because I want to keep it clean. So if you're wondering why, like if you see me like leave some of the paper showing, that's what I'm doing.
For sharing you.
91% alcohol. And you can use any kind of wet medium with pastel pretty much. Sometimes I use acrylic, I use oil, I use watercolor.
As your underpaint?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You just gotta be careful not to fill the tubes. And like if you're doing like an oil, you want it thin. You don't want it too thin. Because you need that little bit of texture for the pastel. But I like the 91% because it dries quickly.
Also, I think you use alcohol instead of water, right? It dries quicker.
Yeah. And so when you're using the alcohol, every time you go into it, you can lift with it. So you can actually correct your underpainting if you want. It just, every time you go into it, it will remove the pigment that you put down. So sometimes I go in and wipe it. I don't ever really get too concerned with it. And in fact, I like it when it gets very drippy. So if you wanted to try this and you were afraid to get it too drippy, you would just use less alcohol with it. So for the shadow area in the wave here, instead of putting on too thick of a pigment, I'm just going to borrow some of the pigment that's up here to put it in the shadow area down here, because I don't want the shadow area to be heavy. I want it to be light. And if, I might have to, sometimes I might have to go in and add a little bit to it. I just will go really, really carefully. Don't add too much pigment to it. So if you're not familiar with using pastel, the most important thing to remember, and I tell all my students this, is the pressure you put on the stick is going to dictate how you get different effects. So once you learn that, like you can understand a lot and you can get those different effects. So if you tend to be a heavy-handed person, which I was when I first started, I quickly learned how to lighten up my touch. And usually I don't start from the top. Usually I start with the lighter colors first, just so I don't pollute my brush, because I don't really have a sink that close by, but I have a different paintbrush. But if I only had one paintbrush, I would be using the lightest area first, and then continue the dark last. So even at the underpainting stage, I'm going to start trying to build the form of the wave. So I'm going to try to go in the direction of how the wave is coming. So if I feel like the spray is going like this, I'm going to go in this direction. In this area, the wave is curving like that. So I'm going to want to apply it in this direction. Because anytime you do that, it helps you just to build the form, to show the form a little better. And this is just a cheap brush. Like, I don't use my expensive, like Rosemary's brushes like that I have for when I work in my sketchbook with watercolor. But I don't use those when I'm using alcohol, especially on the sanded paper, it rips the brush up. So this is just some cheap flat brush that I got at the Michaels.
What grade paper?
This is 400. I like the 400 best. And I have for a long time. If I want to have something very textured, then I would go to a 240, but I don't like the softer, like 800 grit. It's for people that like to work more detailed than me, and I find it cumbersome because it wants to grip and it doesn't allow me to like move freely like I like to work, so 400 is like a good middle of the road grit to use. And it's similar to sandpaper, it's like the higher you go, the finer you get. And sometimes I'll let some of this color start to mingle with this other color. Because you see that happening with the waves up there. Is that still the coffee pot or is that?
No, no, it's,
I wonder if it's the microphone.
it's the mic.
Look, I don't think the coffee pot was open.
It's the train.
I just didn't want it to be in the rain.
I think it's my stomach.
So I don't like the paper showing through. I don't like this color showing through at all. If I use a darker paper or a colored paper, and I was applying pastel, then I wouldn't mind some of the color showing through. But for some reason, this is, like, I don't like the off-white showing through at all. It really bothers me.
Do you have a favorite brand of pastel you use more than others, or do you use all?
I have favorites. My box here probably consists of some Terry Ludwig's, some Sennelier half sticks I absolutely love. I have some New Pastel, I have some Blue Earth. Giron is a favorite of mine. These are my new favorites. They're called Mammoth. They're from Spain. And I love the colors that they have, and I love how, I love that they're big, and they're like chunky, and so I like the way they feel in my hand. And I like the fact that like, this little tiny Blue Earth that's like $6 a piece of the price difference. It's like double. But I do like the Blue Earth. But these, like, something about these mammoths, when I tried them, I was like, oh my gosh, like, it took, I think I got them in the winter because my friend that I paint with a lot got some because he was soliciting awards for the New Hampshire show. So when he let me try them, I was like, oh my gosh, I need some of these. So I bought a whole bunch and I was like, oh, I was really happy to bought them. I love them.
Did you buy them directly from them, or do you have a supplier?
The mammoth,
Yeah.
I bought directly from them, from Spain, and let me tell you, they're fast. It's not like, when I went to Italy before and I shipped wine home, it took like, I don't know, I forgot about it almost. And one day there was a box on my doorstep, I'm like, oh, the wine's here. But, fast, efficient, and say enough about it.
How do you spell that?
It's M-A-M-U-T. Probably gonna go in a little bit barely touching the paper when I'm doing it. I love the scratching noise. I have a friend that doesn't like it at all. When I paint with her, she's like, oh, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard. I switch paintbrushes, perhaps.
Have you painted this before?
This way? No, not this way. I've painted a lot of ways. I love the ocean. Probably my favorite things to paint are coast, ocean, rocks, flowers, birds, snowy owls are my favorite. Hawks, birds of prey. And landscape in general, I enjoy painting. All right, so this is kind of having a decent blocking of things. And like I said, once you've gone over it with the alcohol, it's not like I can say, oh, I'm gonna add more up here, because the minute I put the alcohol on, it's gonna lift. Like I could go back into here right now and lift. And take it almost all the way down to the paper if I wanted. That's what it does. So, maybe one more here. Part of the- And if you came in late a little bit, and you might have missed me say that where the lit area on the pretty spray here is, I'm trying to leave the paper a little bit light so I can get that beautiful lit effect. Sometimes I'll add a pink, like a vibrant pink underneath that color, but tonight I was like, I'm gonna try something different. But sometimes I put this bright pink in through here. But it was kind of that kind of day. But the sun was like infrequent, so it was like you'd see it and then it would be very overcast, almost like very misty and foggy a little bit. So it was hard to get that picture because it was so foggy. So it definitely has like an overcast look in this part of the surf where it was all like foamy. So I brought some pan pastels, and I might just try some just to show you. Oh yeah, it's gonna work. So to use the pan pastel, you just use any kind of little sponge applicator, and I get them at Walmart or Target, or just go to the makeup section, and you can get all different sizes. You can get like circular ones, or I tend to like these because you can get an edge with it. You can turn on the edge. I don't usually get them from the supplier just because they're more expensive, so when you first put on the pan pastel, this is going to give you the most pigment right here, and as you pull it down, it's going to start giving you that gradation. So that's why I like using it in something like a wave, where there's a lot of that beautiful transition of value in the coloring, the wave turns like that. So this to me, because of the kind of days, it's reading pretty cool value in through here. There's a little bit of warmth up at the top that I'll probably try to add in, but it's feeling like rather cool to me there. the pan pastel does go on pretty decent on the sanded paper. If you use the same sponge a lot, like I'll try to use the same light colors on the same sponge. And if I had like a darker pan pastel, I would try to use the darker colors, just to try not to keep it clean. Although, all you need to do to change color is like wipe it like 2 or 3 times on the paper towel, and then you can go back into a different color and it won't pollute your color. And you'll see me stay away from doing this beautiful foam, not foam, spray lid effect, because I like to block it all in, and then I like to get the values correct and start building the rest of it before I go into that beautiful
But
lid.
they normally do that last, right?
Exactly. Just because, like, I like to build dark to light usually, and I don't like to try to get bogged down in the details too soon. Because when you start getting too detailed, like, I don't know, unless that's how you like to work, I know how I like to work, so I know what I need to do, so. So when I have some applicators in my hand, I'm just gonna start adding some of this pan pastel here. And once you start using the pan pastel, like I'll use all the pan pastel I want in one area, and then I'm gonna go into my soft pastels. So once you put the soft pastel over it, you can't then go back in with pan pastel. It won't go on well, it'll start making a mess. So I wanted to tell you that in case you wanted to try
Can you
it.
put pan pastels over pan pastels?
Yes.
Oh,
That's the beauty of pan pastel, like, you can, always see, like, it's very translucent, it's not opaque. So, when you start, layering different color of pan pastel, if I was going to use a lot of pan pastel in through here, you would always be able to see some of the color underneath. So it gives it a very beautiful effect because it's so translucent.
It's a great water then.
Yep, water or, like grasses, like all the birds up there were done with walnut ink and pan pastel layered over with soft pastel. So I'm gonna try to work fast because I think this is like 11 by 17, and I wanted to try to like finish up as much as I can for you.
So do you teach locally also?
Yep.
Oh, do you?
I teach, let's see, I'm teaching a workshop in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, in October 5th. It's a painting birds in pastel. Trying to think what else I have one coming up. I teach at the Springfield Museum in Springfield, Mass. Pretty much, I probably have like 2 this fall, and I have a bunch of winter classes that I'll do there. So I teach there on a regular basis. And sometimes, like, I just did like a Zoom workshop. I do Zoom workshops. So people don't have to leave their house.
I should know this, but do you have a website?
Yep.
Okay.
I have a QR code too. If you have a phone, just go over to this,
Okay.
scan that with your phone, and you'll go right to my website.
Oh, okay. And you have your classes listed on there, upcoming, or?
Yep.
Now, can people that are just beginning
to use pastels? Would they be a good person to take your class?
I never tell people they can't take my class. Like, I can teach a beginner along with someone that knows what they're doing,
Okay.
definitely. Maybe if it was a specific, really involved class, then I would maybe say not to, but for most of the time, I'd like to get a beginner because then I can teach them like the correct steps.
Right.
You know, so, and it doesn't really take them, you know, too long. Catch on most of the time. So the more you pull at them, the more translucent it gets in different places. Do you have another pastel person here? Oh, you start, well, definitely ask me questions. Like, I've been doing pastel for years. Like, I can definitely try to answer your question, and if I don't know it, I can get the answer for you. It's fun. Do you like it?
Yes, very much.
Definitely fun. Very fun. And it's forgiving. I think it's very forgiving. People are like, oh, pastel's so hard. I'm like, no, it's not.
I like because of its colors too.
What?
I like because of its colors. They're so vibrant for the most part.
Yeah, the colors are beautiful. It does make you kind of lazy for mixing colors because
I know.
oh, I just have that color.
I
So now when I go into my sketchbook and I'm
know. Oh, using
doing
watercolor.
my watercolors and wash, I'm like, oh, I gotta make this color. But it's fun. I enjoy it. Okay, so I try to get all this white paper covered. Just put some of this up here. So I'm just trying to like get it where so I might put some of this in the area where this light blue shadow is. Because I try, once I have color in my hand, I like to look around and see where I can utilize it in my painting elsewhere. That might be a little too light. Alright, so now I'm probably going to just start going right into my soft pastels, now that I've done this. And I don't usually hold on to a color for very long, I switch it up. So you won't see me work with this pastel for like 10 minutes, I'll be on to a different color. So I've chosen to come back here and do this part of the ocean first because once I get that in, it will really help to define the wave that's happening in the front. bit too much to blend. I let the other pastel sticks that go over the top do the blending. If you see me, once in a while you'll see me touch something like towards the end if I think something's a little too dark or it's jumping out at me a little bit too much. You'll see me kind of like touch it, and it sometimes helps to set it back. But if you do that, you have to make sure to wipe your hands. So I usually try to keep a paper towel in where there's darker pastel. So this works out good because then I don't have to hunt around for the pastels that I'm using, because they're right in the tray. I don't often leave the labels on my pastels either. The man-books come with a label. Anything with a label just slows me down, so I tend to just take them off. I usually break them too. This is the box I usually use for painting outside and for demos. So to get more colors, I break them. So I leave half in the box and half in my trays at home. So you'll see me move all around the painting. I won't stay in one specific spot for very long. So you won't see me attempt to put any of this like foam on the top in the foreground until I have like all the color that I want underneath, because that's what's floating on the top. So I want to do what's underneath first. And if you're sitting over here and you want me to move out of the way, just tell me. from blocking your view. I'll try to move on. So you can see. So right now, I'm just trying to pay attention to the shadow area that goes like this on the wave. So anywhere I see part of that shadow, I'm going to try to like put a little bit of that in. And then there's also there's like a lot of color that you see in that area in the shadow that's just not blue. There's like some violets in there. And then there's what I want to see.
How can you say, on something like this, that's abstract, it's not a solid, tangible object, and you don't get lost?
Well, I did there was a light sketch when I first started, of just like,
Right.
you know, the diagonal of the wave itself. And then I try to always, when I'm doing a design of my painting, I try to go for 3 to 5 main shapes. So I'm very shape orientated versus linear. So I'm going to look for shapes, big areas of shapes. And then, like, something like this maybe isn't as bad, but like, sometimes when you're doing like rocks and cliffs, it's very easy to get lost, like you're saying. So I try to do the same thing there. I try to look for my big areas of shape and put in the you know, lay in my dark values if I was doing rocks, to try to make it cohesive. So then I have like a little map of where I'm going. But I know what you mean by that. It's easy to get kind of lost when you're doing something. So if you look at the shape that you want to put in, instead of focusing on like a little specific area within there, then that's easy to get lost. So if you squint, like I squint a lot, so if you squint, like it gets rid of all that other clutter, and you can just see the value. So if you can just put the value in, then it helps you to be able to figure out, oh, this is where the wave was, you know, kind of coming over, and the spray was then coming up. So that it's easier to not get lost if you think of it as big main shapes and not the littler details. Like in here, like you would never ever see me try to do this like that. Like it would not, this painting will not look like that in front. I just know how I work. And I think people that can do that, I give them credit. It's just, I don't know, I'm kind of lazy, I guess. I like to be, I'm fast, I like to work fast. And so I think, it all depends on how you like to work. And I know the feeling that I'm trying to get in my painting. So I know I can get the feeling that I want. If it's kind of a little bit, I like to leave a little, I like it to be a little realistic, but then I like it to have a little bit of something for the viewer to finish in their own thinking about it. So it probably has some beautiful blue earth. Do like the blue earths for waves, especially the part of the waves that's very warm. This isn't a perfect one to see it in, but there's some waves that you can see they go up like this. And as the light catches, as they curve, is that beautiful like yellow-green color. I love to do that, but this wave was a lot different. But there's a little bit of warmth that I can see that I'll try to add in. So, like I said before, I'm going to go in the direction of the wave, how it's coming over. So this one that's curving like that, I'll be pulling my pastel down. I'll be pulling some of the color into the shadow area too. Just to give it a little bit of that warmth. So see the effect you can get by just barely skimming the pastel over. It's hard, the light's kind of bumpy.
Lisa, can we take a break now?
Oh, sure.
Okay? Okay, thank you. Okay, everyone, you can go ahead, we have refreshments, you can get up and go get them. We're going to we have to change the batteries in the
His
video.
class, his and my brother's.
I gotta see how this is done.
No.
Batteries, yeah. You can really zoom in.
Oh yeah, well, pretty close. This, that's the most you can zoom from here, so I want a better picture if you get closer.
That's just how some.
Go up a little closer.
So he inherited that through his brother. There's something his brother didn't get to see. Oh, his brother. He found it. He's still free. Richard, the thief was a thief. Well, I just did a walk class. Plus, I got a research project. Civil law stuff. Everybody's got I was at Goldman, and I came up with a man to give the he snatched took a picture of it. I said, I don't know. He's going to do it. Let's give it, you can borrow it first.
So when I'm starting to layer some of the foam, like through here, it's a little darker value than the other foam that's on top. So that's why I'm starting with a little bit darker color first. Then I got quiet. So when I'm doing this, I'm trying to look for if there's any kind of little pattern that's happening with the foam. I look for the biggest, chunkiest pieces of the foam put in first. So I'm definitely not reaching for my lightest value. So I'm going with a little bit of a darker value, a little bit of a lighter value than this. So I'm kind of going up in increments before I will put on a lighter color on the top. Because there's just so much going on in here because it's so turbulent that you see all different kinds of different values and different thicknesses of the foam. It's all like dispersing different ways. I'm going to start putting some of the light effect on the wave, just for the purposes because it's a demo. You can see how it progresses. Darker blue up here with the green, so I'm going to try to add a little more of that. Lots of times, if I'm painting a wave that was coming into the shore, I would tend to go in with like a warmer value because you know that there's sand under there that's churning up, but these rocks were coming in, it was rather deep, rocks. The waves were coming in so huge that it was really deep there because it was hitting these massive rocks. So there wasn't a lot of sand that I could see churning up under there, so that's why I didn't go in very warm. Because in it was giving me a cooler feeling just the day, the way the day was, because it was, like I said, it was like hits of sun, and then it was like cloudy, and so it's all right to like sneak in a little bit of fan pastel where I want to see a little bit more dark, because I like this color. So if you just kind of like pick around in it, it's okay to do that. Over the softer pastel, but you can't really go in and do huge sections over it because it will create a problem for you. But because I've been doing it so long, I know that I can get away with it and when I can't. And I kind of know how to fix it if I should do it and it makes a mess. Like if I had a kneaded eraser with me, I could go in and I could even remove some of the soft pastel. The kneaded eraser takes off like all kinds of pan pastel. That's how I got a lot of effects on my birds. I went in with pan pastel and like removed, like you can remove so you can expose what's underneath. So I could cover a lot of the ink that I used and then go over with pan pastel and then remove it so you can see the darker ink underneath. There's a lot of fun things you can do with that.
Do you use fixatives at all?
Not often. Once in a while, if I have a large painting that I'm shipping across the country, I would maybe use it's called Lascaux fixative. It's from Paris, and it's very tiny. Who asked me a question? It's very, you gotta follow the instructions, like, to a T. If it says store at 74 degrees, make sure it's 74. If it's 70 degrees, yeah.
Particularly.
Yeah, and you don't wanna douse it ever, and you wanna test it on something first before you put it on your piece. The Lascaux is pretty good. It doesn't darken too much, and it doesn't really take the luminosity out of it, but you would like put it down and you would want to always do it outside with the wind not coming at your face. It's very bad for you. Like it's very bad. Like you would never use it indoors. You would wear a mask definitely. And it's just a very like 12 inches from your painting, just like a very quick, like not like slow, like very quick. Like step away, like let the breeze take it away, and like just do like little areas of it, and like let it dry, and like take a look to see if it's darkening, or you don't want it to take the luminosity out of your pastel. That's the beauty of
That's the beauty of pastel, right.
Yeah.
I've seen just watching pastels on YouTube or, whatever. Sometimes they've done it in the middle of the painting to add more tooth, or is that?
Yeah, some pastels work like that. There's a man, Alan Flatman, he works in layers of fixative. And you want it to be workable fixative, because if you use a fixative that doesn't say workable, you're not going to be able to touch it with anything after the fact. So you want it to make sure it says workable. Because say you're doing it and you notice an area that's wrong and you want to fix it. If you sprayed it with a non-workable fixative, you really can't touch it with anything.
It won't take it.
It's not going to take it, and you're not going to be able to remove anything. What I usually do is I press them. So when I finish this, I have a big roll of paper that I use to put the dust covers on the back of my frames. It's a big roll of black paper. So I just lay it out where I frame, and I flip this painting over, and I just press it with my hand.
Really?
Yeah.
With the pastels down?
Yep, flip it right over, like flip it, like pastel down on a flat surface on the paper, and just work my way across it like that. And it sets it.
Okay.
And it will leave a little bit of an image on
Not
there.
much.
Yeah, but you want it to just be press and lift. You don't want lateral motion, because that's what will smudge it. But if you just press it, or if it's really dark, like you have a lot of like dark, rich pigment on there that you don't want migrating to glass, then you might want to like leave it flipped over, put a piece of plywood on, put some books on, you know, like,
Yeah.
leave it for a little bit. But usually, I don't have a problem when I just press it. And I've shipped my paintings all over the place. And I've never had a problem with anything migrating, but I don't mat my work. I use a spacer, and I don't put it against the glass. But some people, like, put it against the glass, and they have good luck with that too. So it all depends how you like to work. How you like to frame the stuff.
So basically, you do your own framing?
Oh yeah, I do my own training. Let me tell you, I wish I would have started early on, because
Frame school?
it's because it's so costly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I would have to be like charging so much more money than I would charge for my paint. In fact, I'm looking for, I want to get a glass cutter. I want to start cutting my own glass. Like a whole other step I have to do.
And you have the room for it too, and all that stuff too.
Yeah, I think I have enough room if I mount it in my garage. Because it's tall. Glass cutters are pretty tall.
Well, what color are you using now? For that, you don't use pure white.
This is, definitely has a tinge of lavender to it.
Okay.
If you could see it up close, it definitely has a little bit of lavender. I like that color with the greens. We got like 2,000 photos of waves. After I painted in Montego, I sat there and watched the waves. Like, the waves were amazing. My husband was like, all right, you said, okay, let's go. And you take a step and you're like, oh my gosh, look at how they're coming in faster and harder. He goes, we're never going to make it out of here.
The strip boat is leaving, I guess.
But I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it's so pretty. I don't know, it's relaxing to watch them. And then if you want to paint them, you've got to know how they work. Like, the more you know about what you're painting, the better you're able to portray what you're doing. It's like my owls and birds, like, I've learned so much about those snowy owls, like, I'm like a walking trivia. And I hopefully see some this year.
Where are they, around our area too?
They like the coast.
Oh, they like the coast, yeah, because I've never seen one.
They like the coast and they like airports. They land at Logan a lot. In fact, they have someone that goes in now and removes them. Because they interfere with the planes. The flying to the planes cause a problem. Because it's flat, it's like tundra.
Also, they like flat.
Yeah, they're used to the Arctic tundra, so they like flat, they like grasses, dunes. Sometimes you see them like up on little posts or driftwood sitting on land. They're definitely on the coast. A lot of like salt marshes. Anywhere you're going to be able to see lots of little buildings.
Lisa, how large do you think?
I think the largest one I have going right now, I'm doing a buffalo right now, a bison. Because I went to Yellowstone in February of 23 with my friends. And so we're having a show. So I'm painting right now. It's pretty big. It's probably almost, well, I wouldn't call it really big, but it's
4 foot.
36 inches maybe. But I have some at home that are definitely image sizes 40 inches. I actually like working big. The bigger, the better. Because I feel like I can get like I actually work faster on a bigger camera. Because I feel like if you really get your whole body into it, and it just goes quicker. But you have to figure out you have to do your work before you go big, because any little problem is going to be magnified by like 15. So if you're doing, like, I would always do a thumbnail, I would do a buggy me when it's little, it's going to be horrible. And the paper's expensive. So you want to make sure it's working out a little bit.
Do you ever do a small ones first before you do the big one?
Yeah, in fact, that winter tree right there, that's from my Yellowstone trip, on the way to Lamar Valley, so that I get bigger. So I'll have both pieces in the show. It's not really bigger, but it's bigger. Yeah. But I like to see how it works out, if I'm gonna like it bigger or not. So I tend to like to paint things more than once too.
Oh.
You can learn a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, where's your show that you're going to have all these paintings?
No, that would be nice to tell me. It's in Lowell, Mass.
Oh.
And it's at the Art League of Lowell, and it's at the Greenwald Gallery, which is on Market Street. And we hang the show the 8th, and the opening is the 20th of October.
How long is it up?
I think it's up for a month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so there's 2 of my other friends, Christine Chisholm, she does pastel as well, so she'll have pastel and maybe some other media, I'm not sure if it's watercolor or not, but, and then my friend Lisa Nugent will have mostly photos and some pastel. But it's like, it's about a trip, so like I have like some landscape, and I have like, I did a coyote and a bison, and then I did like a pretty decent size. I did an 18 by 24 of like the Mammoth hot springs in the winter, so lots of steam and stuff. So it'll be a fun show. It was very fun to go there in the winter. It was beautiful. That's what was nice about it.
Well, anyway, there.
And because it's so cold and so snowy, that all the animals migrate into the valley. So that's when you can see a lot more of the animals. And there's nothing like going to the park when there's hardly anyone there. Because we saw wolves, we saw coyotes, we saw coyotes eating carcasses.
How cold and snowy was it?
It was below 0 where we stayed in Paradise Valley. That wind was howling through there, but 30 minutes to Yellowstone, and some days I was able to take off my jacket and just have like my thermals and my wool sweater and my ski pants and my thermals underneath. And it wasn't bad. It was like night and day. Like Paradise Valley was just a wind tunnel. But when we got to Yellowstone, like the only entrance that's open in the winter is the north entrance. It's okay, I can talk. Do any of you like to work on your iPads?
What's that?
Do any of you like to work from your iPads?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Do you all know how to get it to stay on like that? Oh, okay. Go to settings, go to display and brightness, go to auto lock and hit never. So it's all in your settings, so you don't have to keep doing this. There's nothing more frustrating than that. And I usually like to tell people that, because so many people use technology nowadays, so just keep, but it will drain your battery. So you need to, like, either have it plugged in or charge it, like, I charged mine today, so make sure it was, like, on, like, fully charged. But other than that, you're like, Ian, do you know how to screenshot it to get the grid to appear and screenshot the grid and make your grid stay?
No, do you want to tell us how to do that?
Well, it's helpful, like,
Yeah.
to tell people this. So, you go to your photo, you hit edit, you hit crop. On different models, it's different. Sometimes you have to, of course, it's gonna like be a problem. Like, usually just hit, like, you just edit and crop. Usually you just touch it and the grid comes up. I don't know, oh, here it is. So you hit the crop button. It's just being like a problem. But when the grid appears, usually it stays for me. You want to screenshot it, so you want to screenshot something, it means you want to press the on-off button and this button that takes the picture simultaneously. So the grid is there, and you gotta kind of like have it flat as easiest, and you go like that. And well, that didn't do it, that shut it off. But it's easier if it's flat, but I just wanted to explain how to do it. So it takes a little time, but if it's flat, it's easier, and you just hold it, and the grid appears, and then you do the screenshot. Like it's so that screenshot it, and then the grid's there.
Oh, thank you.
So then you can enlarge it, you know, as big as you need to. So I like to tell people that. It's handy to have.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. See, like, oh wow, I see that. It seems like it's really off to me. Like when they back up, I don't, it's probably like, yeah, I'm not going to adjust it right now. But this is like, this is fluorescent.
Yes, yes, the lighting is not that great.
No, so it definitely will, like, I'll be able to adjust it when I get home.
Turn it off.
And don't turn it off, like, you, like,
Then she won't be able to see it.
Yeah.
We get you a better pad next time.
well, I almost brought one. I have like a lamp, but it's just a lot to carry. It's a natural daylight bulb. And then I always wonder if there's a cord there. It's nothing like, I can just correct it when I get home, just a little bit off. And I don't know if any of you, do you know how to make the spray with like a toothbrush or like just a soft pastel? So what I would do to make this, to make the little droplets of spray is like, you have to take, I won't take it off now, but I'll tell you how I do it. I just usually take a softer pastel and I put it flat. And wherever I want to have this little droplets of spray, I just take a razor blade or like scissors or whatever is going to help you like flick some off. And you just put it where you want it. And then you could decide if it's too much, if it's too little, or if you don't like it, you could just pick it up and like blow it off into the trash if you don't like it. But if you have enough on there and you like how it looks. And you take a piece of paper and you just go like this. And you press on it and it sticks your pastel on the spray. And it works good for like, not just spray, if you were doing like wildflowers in a field and you wanted to give the illusion of flowers in the distance, or like little specks of sand and dirt on a path or something like that. It works well for that. And when I'm putting the foam that's fully on the top on, so I don't want to just draw like a straight line of foam. I want to have like broken edges or lost edges. So all I do is I put pressure on it and then I lift up on the pressure and it gives me a broken edge to the line so it doesn't look like it's just drawn on. How did you hear about me? Was it you, Diane, that?
Yes,
I'd just like to know if my marketing is working.
I think somebody recommended you, I can't remember right now.
Oh, that's okay.
Because I got all the artists, so I probably get confused, so. Jenny might have. Jenny might, I saw you on, saw your website.
Oh, okay.
And we were looking for a pastel artist, so I think we just Googled like pastel artist and,
Oh, it came up good. Well, because when I had to do my website, I had to spell my name all these different ways, so if you spell it wrong, it'll come up. Because it's Regopoulos.
Oh, right.
Like, it's a problematic name.
Yeah.
It is.
It was, yeah.
Very problematic. I should have kept my name.
Alphabet, that's a yam,
Do you use a special non-glare glass when you frame?
Yes. I use what's called a True View anti-reflective, non-glare, UV protected glass. And if you want, on the back of them, it should have, you come take a picture.
Okay.
It has, on the back, it has, from the manufacturer, how to clean it, like what it's called, what it does. It's way better to handle than museum glass. It's just as effective, like I put that on big, like international shows. And they're picky. They're usually like, you have to frame one, like they used to say museum glass, but they'll take that glass.
Yeah.
It looks like if you put that in your house, like you can't usually tell like that there's glass on it. Like I do outdoor shows, and people are like, oh, these are oil, and I'm like, oh no, they're pastel, and they're like, those are pastel, and I go, yeah. But like, you have, like for the prices I sell my work at, like we're in galleries, like people are paying good money, you want to be able to see your art. Like, and if you have art where there's windows, you can forget it sometimes, you can't see it if you don't have decent glass on it. So it definitely is worth it. And it's easy to use, like the museum glass. I have taken it to some glass cutting place, and I had handed the guys like white gloves, and I said, feel free to use them. They're like, oh, we're all set. And I got my museum glass home, and it took me 45 minutes to get their prints off the glass, off of one of my pieces. So I was like, I can't be dealing with that. And then it's very difficult to clean it. Like this one, when I'm framing, if I get something on the glass, and I can just go in a circular motion and get rid of it with like a little alcohol and like a white cloth. It's just so much easier to use. A museum is a nightmare to use. I don't like museum glass at all.
Well, don't you use a separator to keep it off the glass?
Yep. But sometimes when you're framing a pastel, sometimes you'll touch it, sometimes it's still dusty, sometimes when you, depending, like, and I'm particular, like, if that's my name that's going out there, so it's gotta be perfect. If I frame it and I pick it up and I see a speck, I take it all off. So I use the flexible point to frame, so I can just bend them up, and then make sure the glass, I take it to the window, make sure that the glass is all cleaned off. It's just, I like the kind of glass that I get, and I get a lot of, like, people like it. People definitely notice that there's a good glass on there, and they always ask what kind of glass I need. They can't believe there's glass on it most of the time.
So now, do you frame your paintings yourself?
Yep.
And so do you buy the glass already cut to the size you want?
And no, I don't have a glass cutter. So I go to a place in Chelmsford, and she cuts the glass for me. Right now, like, well, she's still in business, like she's probably getting ready to retire, so
Oh, no.
I'm hoping to try to find a glass cutter to get for my house.
And I said,
if I did have a glass cutter, I could just buy it from the manufacturer and then just, they'd ship it to me, because that's how I used to do it. I used to just buy the big box of glass and bring it to the place, but now that I found a lure in Chelmsford that has that type of glass, I don't have to buy it, because she has it.
What is the name of the glass again?
It's called True View, and it's TRUV. Well, this says Ultra View UV70 anti-reflective glass. Virtually invisible, right? It has like UV protection, keeps the colors bright. So some of it's called True View, and that's, this specific kind is probably just Ultra View.